All right, we are now going to move over to, whilst we have got Craig Edwards here, it's Edwards Tips _, as well. He posts you post your tips and everything as well on his Twitter handle, so do give him a follow there, Edwards Tips _. So the Hassan Trophy there. What's the history of the tournament?
Well, the Prince, he made the event to honour his dad, who was the king. And it's named in honour of the king, and it goes back to about 1971. It started as an exhibition tournament, and they used to invite all the top American pros over, like Lee Trevino, Payne Stewart, some of the winners. You got all sorts that played there, and it was a mixed event. They also had the ladies playing. So it was a small select field for years, and I think basically the Prince used to get his checkbook out, and they all used to go over some appearance money, and then it ceased about 10 years ago, and the European tours revived the event, and it's been running 9 years now on the European tour, and it's not one of the higher profile events on the European Tour. It's quite a down week for golf this week. In America, you've got the doubles event, which is just impossible to bet on. You would be guessing. And so this is kind of not one of the premier European Tour events, but it is a premier course. The course is the most difficult on the European Tour. There's never been a winning score better than 8 under, I think, or 7 under. So it is a remarkably tough test of all the golfers' skills, and particularly around the greens. It's got a lot of undulating greens, short game, ability to scramble is massive. So, it gives a good foothold for a young player's career. If they can win here and prove they can win here, they can go on to good things, definitely. And so you've got a lot of potential younger players from the European Tour. You've got a couple of the old Ryder Cuppers, Andy Sullivan and Victor Dubisson, David Howell. But in general, it's you're looking for all the promising players coming through. Although obviously some of the experienced players have some great records here. I mean, Francesco Molinari, his brother, was champion here a couple of years ago, Eduardo, and he always plays well here, as do all the Italians. I mean, I've tipped a couple of the Italians, as you'll see on my odds market preview. Miglosi, he won 2 starts ago on what I think will be quite a similar test in Kenya. And for some reason, the bookmakers still have him at 175 to 1 2 weeks later. He's a young lad from Italy. He's used to winning all his junior tournaments, and it's his debut at the course, but Italians have such a strong record. Andre Pavin was third here last year, which set his career going, and he went on to win again later in the season in the Czech Masters. So it's very much a stepping stone for the promising young players. And I've got a couple of other Italians I didn't tip, but I mentioned Paratore, Bertasio, and they have a very strong hand of players this week, the Italians, in Morocco. It's quite an interesting betting heat, I must say. I do quite like it as a betting heat this week.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if you guys, who are the biggest names taking part? And of those, who does the course suit best?
Who are the big? Well, Josh Leuten is the biggest name from the Netherlands. He's the favourite. It does suit him. As you know, I'm not really one for favourites, so at 16 to 1, I tended to overlook him, but he will probably be in the top 10. You can expect him to play very well. It got Eric van Rooyen, a South African, played very well in the British Open last year. At one point, it looked like he was going to win the British Open. And he's a young South African off the Sunshine Tour. He's not won on the European Tour yet. But you've got to think that win will come very soon. So he's a player that's played well here a couple of times in really good form. He looks a perfect fit. His game is so solid. He looks a perfect fit. Spaniard Nacho Elvira. He's a young player again. He's not won on the European Tour, but he's been placed so many times in the top 5 or 6. He's due to win. They're both a little bit short from a win point of view, in about 28 to 1, for my liking, because they've never won. But it wouldn't surprise me if one of them won. They're very high in the market. I prefer to go down a bit to the Northern Irishman, Paul Dunn, that has won the British Masters, proven winner. Second here 2 years ago, lost the playoff to Eduardo Molinari. He had a bad last year, his favourite here, and he had a nightmare, missed the cut. But the week before, I can't remember off the top of my head now where he played, but he'd had a really tough week. I think he'd finished second in the playoff or something like that. So sometimes when that happens, a player has a real kind of a bit of a letdown the week after, because they're still disappointed and they're probably not as focused as they normally would be. So, but he comes in really good form this year, and he's 4 times the price of what he was last year, which is balmy. Yeah. He's just been out to play on the USPGA Tour. I think it was the event near you in Mexico, the Punta Cana. He finished in the top 20 there, which is quite a good performance, and played well on the Australian swing earlier in the year. He really is quite a global golfer, and he could give people a really good run for the money at 40 or 50 to 1, definitely.
All right. It's interesting as well, you're saying that you don't like backing the favourite there at odds of 17. Those are pretty big odds. So the question is obviously right now, how are you playing the Hassan II Trophy in terms of betting?
Right. Okay. Well, we've got Pavan in each way. Otiagi is a Spaniard, Adrian Otiagi. Got a little off the pace form in here, so we know that the course will suit him. And he's started to learn how to win in the last 2 or 3 years. And often when he hits form, you can find him finishing in the first 3. And he was 80 to 1 at the start of the week, so that was an easy pick for me. Mm-hmm. I really like that bet. And Andre Pavin has been a little bit sketchy since winning the Czech Masters, but back to a place he broke through last year. Good performance last time out at the Indian Open, although it's been a few weeks off now on the European Tour. So him with the other Italian, Miglosi, I like. He's a real big price. You 150 to 1 plus 175s if you're lucky. Nice each way bet, because he's the sort of player that.
Sorry and what are you doing? You're literally putting 1 unit on this. And when you say like each way, obviously there's options like in what each way, like to finish top 10, top 5.
Well, if you depends with bookmaker. Paddy Power often do 8 places, 5th of the odds, 8 places. So if you got 150 to 1 for argument's sake, you would get 30 to 1 for the top 8 places as your place part, and then you would get the 150 as your win part. So just for 1 unit on each. If your guy got in the top 8, you'd get 30 units back for argument's sake. So Miglosi is, you should shop around and open as many bookmaker accounts as you can, really, because Coral do 7 places, Betfred do 7 places, and it gives people and some
do 10 as well, don't they? I was seeing. I don't know particularly. One thing I said here, I've got top 20 finish.
Yeah, you can do top 20s. I mean, you can have. That's the beauty of golf. You don't have to back the tournament winner to make a nice profit. So I put up Van Rooyen in a top 10 finish at 33 to 10. That's the beauty of golf. If you find the right market, the right place market, you can have top 5, top 10, top 20. Yeah. You can have a winning week, and your golfer doesn't even have to win the tournament.
All right, great stuff. Anything else to add here before we bring this segment to the end, Craig?
No, not really. It's just a low-key week on the golf this week, really. But it is quite a good betting heat. I would
That well,
encourage
that's
people
yeah.
to, it's those are when you find the best value because the bookmakers really, if you go to the US Masters, the bookmakers can see the prices and it makes their job easy. This week they're a little bit slack and you can punish them really for like the price on the Italian 175 to 1. Well, it's insane, really.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Sure it is. Do check out Craig Edwards' article over at oddsmarket.com. Details some of his picks as well for the Hanson 2 Trophy. Craig Edwards, thank you very much for joining us, and I'll check in with you soon.